Here on the shoreline of Jericho Beach, near Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, we ponder the thought about sea monsters being in these waters. Some suggest there was, but now they're gone. We have never seen them, but we have heard plenty of stories. There is life below the surface, things we have not yet discovered, and things that might seem absolutely inexplicable to us, like sea monsters. From our early days as children, we had a fascination with stories told to us by fishermen of sea monsters. Imagine that. And First Nations elders speaking of their legends of sea monsters. As kids, we kept our eyes open while traveling on family boats. As adults, even today, we keep our eyes open, peeled for anything out of the ordinary, an aquatic anomaly in these waters. Along the road of life, we met some mariners that had unique experiences and claim sightings. The first one being Captain Cyril Andrews, a consummate professional, a man responsible for starting search and rescue, and Captain William Hagland, a man who wore honesty on his sleeve. Both of these men are gone, but their stories live on. In this part 1 of Monsters of the Deep, we will visit areas where people claim sightings, observations of aquatic anomalies not easily explained, just maybe sea monsters here in Canada's Pacific waters. Stories of sea serpents are nothing new. The early explorers spoke of creatures, but they may have seen things that they just didn't see before. Maybe squid, basking sharks, all manners of creatures that were not familiar to them. Yet some truly were monstrous, at least in the eyes of the observer. And here, on the coast of British Columbia, people have seen things they can't quite explain, such as a creature 60 feet long or better, with a horse-like head, capable of capturing a whale. Monsters. Really? Anything is possible. When imagination comes to play, things go south very quickly. Fishermen, for the most part, see very little creatures they don't recognize. And there are some that are obvious in their natural setting. From a distance, they may seem odd, such as this group of sea lions in Active Pass. Discovery Passage is a prime example of a constrictive passage, and the basins surrounding the passage are much larger and deeper, with maximum depths of 100 meters, around 330 feet, and a maximum width of 2 kilometers. Water flows through the passage at speeds upwards of 16 knots. There are plenty of sea creatures here, and they transit these waters all the time. Sechelt, called the land between two waters. A place Jacques Cousteau called the Sunshine Coast, the second greatest place to dive in the world. It's true. And it is no stranger to sea monsters. It has some of the largest octopi found anywhere on the planet. And of course, the legendary Cadborosaurus has been seen here, with this wooden tribute along the shoreline of this most perfect setting. Having a sea monster in your local waters is nothing new. Many ocean communities report sea creatures that are monster-like. From the west coast of Vancouver Island to its fantastic east coast, these waters are teeming with life. The most interesting and perhaps most compelling sightings happened at the turn of the century. In the 1930s, the famous sighting by Captain Cyril Andrews and a friend at Cadboro Bay, in our opinion, is one of the most credible. And then there's the story of Captain William Haglund. That's next time in part 2. As we look at this picturesque view of Steveston, once a vibrant community of fishermen, things have changed. It's more of a tourist mecca now. We wonder how many stories they have that were never told of strange things they viewed and spotted in these Pacific waters. Waves and weather on the ocean can play tricks on you. You may see something you really believe is a sea serpent or a sea monster. It could be a pod of whales. It could be a group of sea lions. From a distance, like this. Why are those seagulls there? They are feeding on herring. Hypothetically speaking, let's say the creatures are real and out there, are down there, below in the depths of this mysterious ocean. And occasionally they come to the surface to feed or to take a look around. Too many people have come forward and said, "I've seen it," to discount it completely, although many of those people have seen things in the distance, and it could have been something as simple as a log floating in the water, or a group of sea lions, or maybe passing whales, as I said earlier. But the witnesses that we've spoken to personally, they know the ocean. Captain Cyril Andrews, Curly as we called him, was a wise man, and he knew the sea very well. The same goes for Bill Haglund, Captain William Haglund. His experience, absolutely amazing. We will share that next time. If the early explorers encountered these things, There are creatures here they've never seen, so they might have misinterpreted what they were observing. But that doesn't take away from the First Nations folklore and their tales of the serpents in these waters. Back in time, before marine electronics like radar, depth sounders, fish finders, the fishermen went out with knowledge passed down to them, sometimes at their peril in heavy weather, and many were lost. Today, few of those fishermen are alive to tell their stories that were fascinating, and some connected to strange things they've seen on the ocean. Sadly, many of them are leaving us at a rapid rate. The towns survive, they've changed. Towns like BUCKWHEAT, where the sightings of the sea serpent were made long ago, or a quaint village called Telegraph Cove. A quaint place indeed, with lots of stories. We thank you for watching this part 1 of Monsters of the Deep, and hopefully we will see you right back here for part 2, coming sooner than later. Until then, if you're going out in the water, wear a PFD. Aye aye, and goodbye.